Welcome to the Driving Business Online webinar today. Learn the secrets of a successful website. My name's Emma Hunt and I'm the Head of Small Business at PayPal Australia. PayPal was born out of the simple desire to connect buyers and sellers. This remains the guiding principle of our business, and today PayPal Australia enables more than 90,000 businesses get paid safely and securely. As the e-commerce market continues to grow in Australia and all over the world, and people get more and more comfortable shopping online, we at PayPal stay focused on making that payment process simpler and easier. For some business owners, the first step in going online is a single listing on eBay. For others, it's a big commerce shopping cart solution. Both can be the answer to succeeding online. So with that in mind, our webinar today is focused on how you can turn more visitors to your website into buyers. Optimizing checkout conversion is key to growing your online business. So I'm here today with Troy Cox, Director of Product at BigCommerce, Dan Woodall, Head of Product Solutions and Customer Experience at PayPal Australia, and Jonathan Alara, Co-founder and Director of Bicycles Online. Over the next hour, Troy, Dan and Jonathan will be sharing their knowledge of how you can have a really effective website in our webinar, Learn the Secrets of a Successful Website. They'll talk about what makes a successful site, share tips with you on how to improve site conversion, that all-important turning visitors into buyers, and how you can improve the experience that your customers have on your site. Don't forget, if you have any questions through the webinar, you can submit them by clicking on the Ask a Question tab on the right of your screen, and we'll be responding to those questions on the Driving Business Online website in the next week. So our first panellist today is Troy Cox, Director of Product at BigCommerce. Troy has been involved in developing e-commerce solutions for small businesses in Australia and around the world for almost 15 years. He's always looking for innovative ways to improve BigCommerce and making it easier for businesses to create excellent online experiences. Troy, welcome to the panel.
Thanks, Emma. Hi, everyone. And can I say what a pleasure it is to be here today sharing with you some of our best tips and secrets for running a successful website. So since 2006, we've been building software that helps small and mid-sized business sell online. Today we have over 37,000 merchants running on our platform. And so today we are actually the fastest growing hosted e-commerce platform in the world. And so we've learned a bit about, what works well and what doesn't work well when selling online. And so I'm pretty excited to share with you some of those tips and secrets, the things we've learned over the years. So the first thing I want to talk about is your homepage. Now, for most of your shoppers, not all, and I'll come to that in a minute, but for most of your shoppers, this is the first impression they get of your website. And so you want to make sure it's showcasing your brand, your image. You want to make sure it's clean and simple. And most importantly, you want to make sure that it's not too cluttered or too busy. One of the things we know is that a busy website it reduces conversion. And let me give you an example. If you're running multiple promotions, it's a very good idea, of course, to have one or two of those promotions on the homepage of your website. But if you're running multiple promotions, you want to make sure that you're not putting them all up there. You probably want to put them in a carousel and slide them through one at a time. Let me compare that to sort of the offline world. You can imagine if you walk into your local shop in your suburb, and 5 or 6 salespeople came up to you all at once, and tried to all at once tell you about a sale or promotion that you're running. That would be a very overwhelming and confusing experience. And what we know happens is that in the face of all that confusion, people choose indecision. They basically don't make a decision, and that's what reduces conversion. So you want to make sure your website is very clean, very simple, and easy to navigate. So one of the things you can do regarding navigation is think about all the products you're selling and categorize them in just a few categories. And then on the top level navigation of your website, include those just basic few categories. One of the things we like to recommend too is to get a fresh perspective of your homepage. So what we recommend is that you go out of your normal environment. Perhaps if you're running on a Windows computer, go to a different, like a Mac computer, or change browsers. Look at your homepage through a different device, like an iPad or an iPhone, and just see how your homepage looks, and take count of how it looks, and make sure that it's as simple and clean as possible. The next thing I want to talk about is your product images. They say that pictures tell a story, and probably that's no more true than on your website when you're selling your goods online. Your website's very convenient for your shoppers, but one of the things it lacks is the ability for your shopper to actually pick the product up off the shelf and turn it at different angles and inspect it. And the way that you can overcome that barrier is by having big, beautiful product images, and have images from several angles, have images of people using the product and showing it in use. There's lots of case studies where having big, beautiful images can increase your conversion 10 to 20%. And not only does it improve conversion, but big, beautiful images mean that your shoppers, because they understand your product better, they're actually less likely to return it. And we know from experience, the bigger the image, bigger images, again, less likely to return your products. So the first case study I have for you is a company called Bailey Nelson, who run on our platform. They're wildly successful. They're a sort of fashion hipster optical and sunglasses store. And if you hop online at baileynelson.com.au, you'll see a really excellent example how they use big, beautiful product images to showcase their products. You'll see that they have images from several angles, from the front of the lenses to the back of the lenses. They've got images of the bows and things like that. And even you'll see they have images of key features of the product. For, in this example, the hinges. You can imagine if you walked into your local optical shop, you would do the same thing. You would pick up the product off the shelf, you'd inspect it from multiple angles, and look at key features like the hinge. And basically that's what you're trying to do with product images online. Really important. The next thing I want to talk about is videos. And from my perspective, this is probably one of the most underutilized tools for people selling online. And it's quite surprising actually, given the sort of profound impact that using videos can have on your website. In commerce, we spend a lot of time talking about visitors, which is bringing people to your website, and a lot of time talking about conversion, which is turning those visitors into shoppers. But I would argue there's a third metric that we need to be looking at, and that's engagement. This is all about, by adding value through things like videos, connecting your shoppers to your brand, to your products in a way that's well beyond online stores that just list their products for sale. And we know that people prefer to buy goods from people they know and trust. And by creating this sort of engagement with videos, it's a really good way to lift that level of trust with your shoppers. There's lots of different types of videos that you can put online. You can, when you're thinking about your products, you can have videos that showcase the features, showcase how your product works with other products, show how the product's being used. You can also have sort of just general information videos, things like how returns work, or how shipping works, and things like that. And importantly, you don't have to be, an expert videographer to put videos on your website. Most smartphones these days can take excellent quality video. They often have basic video editing built in. So I would encourage you, if you're not using videos yet, start with your smartphone and start adding videos to your products. That brings me to my second case study, which is Yeti Coolers, another wildly successful store running on our platform. You'll find them online at yeticoolers.com.au. And what these guys do is they build specialized, heavy-duty, rugged coolers. And relative to your normal esky or cooler, their product is relatively sophisticated and feature-rich. And so they use videos as a way of describing and helping shoppers understand all of this richness and capability of their product. And I really encourage you to, pop online to their site, and you'll see, what an excellent job they do of using video. And you'll see for yourself within a very few seconds how you understand this product, you understand their brand, how engaged you are with them. So again, a really good example that I encourage people to have a look at. Next, I want to talk about product reviews. Product reviews are good for a couple of reasons. The first is just improving sales and conversion. And the reason product reviews work well is because, over the years, shoppers have learned to become quite distrustful and skeptical of the product descriptions that manufacturers put on their products. And what product reviews do is they add what we call social proof. It's this notion that because another customer is talking about your products and basically validating that the product works or behaves or functions in the way it's been described, it adds that proof that another shopper needs before making a purchase. But interestingly enough, product reviews have actually, in more recent times, actually have their own problem, which is people have started to distrust them. And so, I've got a statistic there on the slide. Show both sides of the story. Of course, work hard to make sure that you're delivering the sort of customer service that gets you the best product reviews. But if a few creep in that aren't so good, I would encourage you to leave them there, because it adds this social proof that the reviews are actually genuine. And almost 70% of people say they buy when they can see both sides of the story. Product reviews are also good for what we call SEO, or search engine optimization. And the reason for that is because product reviews offer a lot of unique, very timely, very relevant content that the search engines use when they index your website. And having that content there increases your ranking inside search engines. So it's good for a couple things. Closely related to product reviews is social sharing. And again, it's the same sort of benefits that you get. The goal here is to make it as easy as possible for your customers to be able to share your content, your products, to the social media networks like Twitter, like Facebook, and especially now Pinterest. Once again, here it's good for SEO. The search engines use the content of people sharing your products to help improve your rankings inside search engines. Probably, though, in my opinion, the biggest opportunity is around abandoned shopping carts. So what's an abandoned shopping cart? This is a cart where one of your customers, a shopper, has actually put something into your cart, but then for a various range of reasons, they've actually abandoned before completing the purchase. And we know there's a whole bunch of studies that have been done on this, and we know that about more than 70% of carts are abandoned. And so there's a massive opportunity here, even if we can reduce that number by just even a little bit. And we know that even of those 70%, 75% of those actually intended to purchase. So it's figuring out what those reasons are and mitigating them. So here's some of the reasons. The biggest reason of all, more than half, is shipping costs. So what happens here is a shopper puts something into the basket, the cart, they get to the checkout, they can see the shipping costs, and for whatever reason it exceeds their expectations, doesn't meet their expectations, and they abandon the cart. So one very simple thing you can do here is to offer free shipping. And of course, make sure the economics work right, but if it does, you can see you can impact a very large percentage of those abandoned shopping carts. You can see, 14%, are abandoned because there's no guest checkout. A lot of shoppers tell us that, to go through that registration process is sort of like creating a relationship with a merchant. And, for a percentage of those people, they don't actually want to create that relationship yet. And so having that guest checkout option is a good way of improving conversion and avoiding that abandoned cart issue. 11% say the checkout takes too long. If you're selling digital goods, don't ask for a shipping address. It doesn't make sense. If you're asking for demographic information like age and sex, I know that information is important to you and you want it, but understand that it has an impact on the checkout process, and it's a reason why people leave the cart. So I would encourage you to think about that carefully and potentially not ask those questions. And as many as 7% say that not having enough payment options is a reason they don't complete their purchase. And so one very easy thing you can do there, and I've got another case study, Bump My Lock, you'll see them online at bumpmylock.com. They quite recently have added PayPal Express checkout as an additional payment option. And, in the first 3 months, they were able to increase their conversion by almost 20%. And we hear this from lots of merchants on our platform, that by adding that extra payment option, quite dramatically increases their conversion. And another tool that is good to use for the issue of abandoned carts is what we call the abandoned cart saver. And basically what this tool does, it's built into the software, and it actually detects when a shopper has abandoned their cart, and then it can, based on some settings that you as the merchant can specify, it will automatically email that shopper and invite them to come back to your site to complete the purchase. And often there's some sort of promotion along with that helps them, that lures them back to the site. And you can see here, across all of our merchants, on average, they can increase their sales by 15%. A good example I've got here is the is Night Gear. They've recently added the abandoned shopping cart or cart saver to their site, and in the first month alone, they increased sales by over $8,000, which would have otherwise been lost. And just some quick examples of some things you can do in the email that gets sent when the abandoned cart saver kicks in. Offer a limited time discount. The key here is limited time. By creating that scarcity of time, it gets the shopper to act quickly. Obviously we know that shipping costs is a big reason why people abandon the cart. So, offering free shipping in that email that gets sent is a good one. Again, make sure the economics are right. If you don't offer free shipping as just a general offer on your website, this might be a good solution, because it means that not everyone's getting free shipping, but at least those that abandon their cart have this offer. And if you can get a percentage of those back, that would be a good thing. And finally, just include product images on that email, so it creates this instant recall when the shopper opens up that message. So finally, just a quick recap of some of our best tips. Make sure your design is clean and modern. We don't want it to be cluttered or too busy, because we know that reduces conversion. Use big, high-quality product images. We're trying to simulate online that experience of picking the product up off the shelf and looking at it from different angles and inspecting it. Use videos to showcase your products, because we know that creates a level of engagement that helps improve conversion again. Feature product reviews and social sharing. That's good for SEO, getting your rankings up in the search engines, and again, increasing sales and conversion, because it adds that social proof. It helps your shoppers know that other customers validate that product and the way it works. Make it easy as possible to buy from your site. Do an audit of your checkout process. Are you asking too much information? What's the friction in your checkout process, and remove that. Offer multiple ways to pay, so add PayPal as a second payment option. And finally, use that abandoned cart saver to recover, on average 15% of lost sales. So finally, just in closing, there's my email address. I encourage you to reach out to me if you're interested in a trial. The details are there on the screen. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Troy. So many great tips in the information that Troy's just shared with you. If you didn't manage to jot all of those down, don't forget we will be sending the webinar, these slides out after the webinar today. I'm quite interested in Yeti Coolers. I'm gonna go and check them out.
Do.
Troy, one question, something that occurred to me as you were going through that information. If you were about to go online for the first time, you were thinking about setting up a website, you're already selling offline, but you think about setting a website, where would you start? Where would you tell someone to start in thinking about how to create their first website?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And, we talk to a lot of small businesses, and we can understand sort of daunting, overwhelming process of getting your business online. And so we actually spend a lot of time getting over that barrier. One really simple thing to do is we offer a no-risk free trial for 14 days. So, just pop online to becomers.com. You can create your trial. And the best thing about that actually is it comes with what we call our success squad. So a consultant will actually ring you up and answer all your questions, and their whole mission is to make sure you're successful. So, any issues about getting your products in, how do you set up shipping, how do you set up payments, they take care of all that for you. So it's a really, low risk, easy process. And, to me, that's the first step. Just experience it for yourself. Yep. And that's what you need to do.
Fantastic. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Dan Woodall, the Head of Product Solutions and Customer Experience at PayPal. Dan leads the team responsible for developing and delivering all products at PayPal, and is hugely passionate about creating excellent e-commerce experience. Dan, welcome this afternoon.
Thanks, Emma, and great to be here, and some amazing tips and advice from Troy, which really recommend everyone should take on board. And I was actually really pleased, that you said that adding PayPal had that big uplift people saw on their conversion, because it's definitely something I want to explore a little bit more in I guess in what I'm going to be talking about, because by putting PayPal on your site, you're actually you're generating an advantage already. PayPal is the third most trusted brand in Australia. So you can create that association with this really trusted brand and sort of create some great traction with consumers when they come to your site. And then, of course, we see mobile is the big growth area in e-commerce at the moment. And certainly we're seeing 1 in 4 transactions currently going through a mobile device. And that number is growing exponentially. Last year it was, very small numbers. This year it's 1 in 4. Next year it'll probably be half of all transactions. So really, mobilizing and getting yourself mobilized is absolutely critical. And again, PayPal can really help you do that. We already have mobile optimized checkout and things like this using PayPal, and I'll be exploring that a little bit more as we go on. But I want to go back to a stat that Troy talked about abandonment, because cart abandonment is really there. Nearly 70% of people, abandon their cart during checkout, and this is a great place to go and tackle. What can we do about this? You already had some great tips on that. But in 2012, PayPal conducted a study of its own into this, looking at a whole bunch of different merchants, where we actually did some A/B testing of different things that could or couldn't work. And in addition to all the great stuff you talked about in terms of the great product placements and the pictures and all those other good things, there's actually things you can simply do with the way you use PayPal on your site, which will actually also give you an added edge to help capture some of those additional customers. So the first thing you could do is simply make sure the PayPal logo is prominent. I've already heard how it helps to drive conversion, but make sure it's visible. Don't hide PayPal as an option sort of at the end of your site or at the end of your checkout flow. Put it on your homepage. Make it sort of, we accept PayPal. Leverage that trust, that brand trust, that we can have. And also think about where else you might put it. Your product pages, you sort of think of the front door, you come into your home page and, want to sort of capture people and generate trust there, and then the checkout, of course. But actually, many people will land direct into your product pages. They'll come from a search engine, they'll be looking for a product, and they won't drop in through your front door. They might drop into a product page. So, put it there too, make sure when people get to that page, they can say, oh, good, when I'm ready to purchase this item, I'm going to be able to make a smooth, easy, safe transaction with PayPal. And just those things alone can really drive your conversion. There's nearly a percentage point of conversion benefit just from using the PayPal logo in a smart way. And of course, I'm not talking about having a screen sort of filling PayPal logo. I mean, it might be nice, but but just the sort of subtle placement, just so it's clear that that's a payment option. Can really help. I guess, and here's just an example, making sure that where you've got the express checkout integration, it's really clear that people can just see that logo and they can just click straight through, and they can drive those, as I said, all that additional conversion. There's a number of different sort of PayPal checkout options as well, of course. But one of the great things about using PayPal, and particularly using the express checkout option, which will be built into many carts, for example, the BigCommerce cart, is that it actually takes away some of the pain that consumers have to go through, because you can integrate it in such a way that it pulls in the customer's shipping information and so on directly without them having to type. So actually, making sure this is really clear and making sure it's really obvious that that's what they can do. That that they're not, that there's actually this direct to not just I'm going to go into some checkout flow now, but I can just there's PayPal. I can just jump straight in and buy my items and sort of get what I want. So making that really clear, that you have this express checkout button right next to your sort of normal checkout flow, sort of is really clear, can actually increase conversion by nearly 4%, 3.75%. There was a real difference in the way that consumers behaved when they saw that they could kind of do that. And we also know, aside from that those express checkout users, once they get into that express checkout flow, which is much more straightforward, are actually something like 115% more likely to actually complete. So they're not having to go through a flow where they have to type in their shipping details and so on. So again, it's a really great option to make sure you include on your site. and make it easier, to choose PayPal. If you've got multiple payment options, so you're at your end of your checkout flow, your cart. Make sure that PayPal is easy and it's clear. It's not hidden sort of below the fold, or it's not just in amongst a multitude of different logos for different, Mastercard, Visa, all the rest of it. And maybe make it first. Make it, it's the preferred payment option for 4 million Australians. Make this, make this the first one, because that's the way people want to pay online, and just give people what they want. And that can actually just moving up the ranking, making sure that PayPal is the first option people see. Again, can drive your conversion by nearly 1%, 0.8%. Just by a simple reordering of the way things are on the page. And then picking up on something you said as well, Troy. Make sure you give people a guest option, and you can use PayPal to do that. The PayPal guest checkout option, works really well, and just making it clear that's an option. To pay with PayPal as a guest, you don't need a PayPal account. If you want to pay with that mechanism, can increase conversion by 2.5%. So all these little things, they're like 1% here, 0.5% here, and they're not difficult things. These are simple, small steps, but they all just drive and drive and drive, towards getting a great result.
More sales.
More sales.
Drive towards more sales.
Right, exactly. And this is not hard to do stuff. And then finally, when they get when they're going through the checkout flow experience, make sure you've actually customized the PayPal checkout pages. So there's a default template on the PayPal checkout, which is fine, but you can add your own logo. You can sort of add your own shop colors. So when your customers get to the PayPal page where they're entering their PayPal account details to buy, if it's got your logo on, it's consistent with the site they've come from. It makes it really comfortable experience for the consumer to actually just oh great, this is all great. This is the site. Yeah, I'm buying from this brand, and it's all through its PayPal. Again, you get that great co-branded sort of trust piece, and let them do it. And just doing that, just customizing that checkout page, if you haven't done already, can boost conversion by nearly 1% again, like 0.9, 0.81, 0.87% if we're being precise about it. So that can really work, and make sure you get this confidence. You explain what PayPal is. Maybe in some pages, on your site, just talk about payment options that are provided, and talk about PayPal in that place, and don't charge additional fees. Don't put a barrier in front of PayPal, because you've got this great advantage of PayPal that can actually drive your sales. So the last thing you want to do is then create a barrier. That's actually going to hang on, it was all looking so good and now it's all gone wrong again. So make sure you don't add any extra fees. And finally, when you do the integration, if you're not using a shopping cart solution, make sure that you pull in the details from the shopping cart into the PayPal receipt. So when people actually go to pay, they actually see the line items. It's not just a block, here's the amount of money, but rather, okay, those are the items I want to buy. It's like it's the brand, and everything just looks, really, really nice. And those things, as I say, can really help drive your conversion. So, very simple. Some simple steps. I think all the stuff Troy said is absolutely top notch, but when it comes to actually getting PayPal, optimizing, how can PayPal help you? Put PayPal logo on your homepage. Make sure it's clear that it's a payment option. Do the same on your product pages. So when people get to a product page, they can similarly see. If you're using Express Checkout, make sure that Express Checkout button's really clear and right in the obvious logical place where people are clicking through to buy. Make sure it's clear you accept guest transactions. People don't have to register in order to purchase from you. Make sure your checkout page has your logo on, and you get PayPal up in the choices, so you have PayPal is prominent when people get to the end. Try and sort of say why you use PayPal somewhere on your site. Don't charge additional fees. Make sure your shopping cart is integrated so that the line items are coming up on the through the checkout experience of PayPal, and put your logo on the payment process. And those things all add up. Each of those little tiny things, 0.5% here, is it really worth it? Well, all of those things, just that alone, can drive conversion by nearly 10%. So, you can get quite a big boost in your sales just simply by tweaking the way and, leveraging PayPal really to your advantage.
Fantastic. Thanks, Dan.
Not at all.
You mentioned right at the beginning the huge growth in mobile shoppers, people using smartphones and tablets to shop online, probably going to and from work on buses, those sorts of things, trains. How how can business owners make sure that their websites work just as well as they would on a normal computer screen, on a tablet screen, on a small smartphone screen? How can you kind of, I'm thinking the word future-proof. I'm not sure any of us can future-proof anything in this market. But how can you make sure that your website is as easy to use as possible on all of those different screen sizes?
Yeah, well, it's a really good question, and it can be a challenge, right? I mean, if you're actually hosting or managing or building the website yourself, yeah, you could, I mean, the simple answer is just mobile optimize it, Emma. You mobile optimize your website,
What
right?
does that mean, Dan?
And essentially that means creating versions of all your key pages that render nicely and fit the screen size for these different types of devices. Now, you can do that manually, and that's all good. And of course, the great news is that the PayPal checkout experience is already optimized for you. So when they get to the payment page, that's all going to work. But it is, if you are just managing maybe a very small site of your own at this stage, it is quite hard to do manually. I mean, it's going to be quite tricky for the average person to actually work this out. But the great news is, with this growth in m-commerce, all the big cart providers are all over this, right? From eBay through to BigCommerce through to all these others, they all have options in there to be able to mobile optimize. So make sure those options are enabled. Make sure you're using it smartly, and then to Troy's point, go check, test,
Test it.
check your website on different devices. Make sure it's rendering correctly. Make sure that it's actually looking right, because that is where commerce is going. We're going to be at a point soon, not quite yet, but probably soon. Maybe next year when we come back, we'll be saying to people, what's most important is getting your mobile website right. Yeah, your PC website is actually less important. Imagine, we're going to have a world where that's where it's coming from, and that's where it's going to be. So you want to set yourself up for future success. Get ahead of the curve now, because that's where it's going.
Fantastic.
Good advice.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan. Our final panellist today is PayPal customer Jonathan Alara, co-founder and director of Bicycles Online. Jonathan co-founded Bicycles Online in 2011 with James Van Rooyen. They have become Australia's most successful online bike sellers, revolutionising the way people in Australia buy bikes. In 2013, BRW recognised Bicycles Online in their list of Australia's 100 fast starters. Jonathan, welcome to the panel today.
Thank you very much, Emma, and thank you for having me. I just wanted to firstly start by giving you a little bit of a background about who we are and how we came to be bicyclesonline.com.au. So we're a 100% Australian-owned business, started by myself and my business partner James Van Rooyen. And like many of the sort of viewers out there today, we started from very humble beginnings. We started in a garage we were paying $100 a week for 2 years ago. And we've now reached 10,000 customers, growing at 250%. And we've moved into a sort of a big 1,000 square metre warehouse, showroom office facility in North Manly. So it's been an amazing journey so far, and that online channel through the use of BigCommerce and PayPal has been really beneficial and really crucial for our growth over the past 2 years. What we do, we sell a premium global brand of bicycles called Polygon Bikes at not premium prices. And so how do we do this? We do this because we've cut out the middlemen. We import direct from the manufacturer, and then we use the online channel to sell all around Australia. Our mission is, as Emma did brief on it, to be Australia's #1 online bicycle retailer, and that's to be measured based on value and on service. So I've been asked here to come today and talk a little bit about how our website, bicyclesonline.com.au, has evolved over the past 2 years. And really, the website has evolved as a result of the evolution of our overall value proposition, primarily. So when we think about creating great value for our customers, we think about improvements we can make to our supply chain, our product quality and credibility, and improvements in our service and delivery. So, our website evolution over the past 2 years has initially been a direct reflection of these. So I'll give you an example. When we first started, we only had a very small quantity and a range of bicycles that we sold. As we started to evolve, we brought on a larger range and needed sort of stronger features to actually present those products as well as our service in a much more much more effective fashion. So our website evolution over the past 2 years has initially been a direct reflection of the improvements and adjustments we've made in these areas. For example, when we first launched, we carried a very small range of entry-level bicycles, mainly because our purchase power was low, and mainly because our purchase power was low, and we were testing the market. Given this, our site navigation and search requirements are very simple. As we grew as a business, our product range increased. Our service and delivery offering had to improve as well. And with that, our website actually needed to cater for these improvements in our business, and we evolved different functionalities that we use through BigCommerce and through PayPal to do that. So while the adjustments and changes in our broader value proposition have dictated the main evolution of the Bicycles Online website, we regularly work with analytical and feedback tools available online to help us better listen to our visitors and to our customers. Some of these tools that we do actually use on a weekly and monthly basis include Google Analytics, Campile, Visual Website Optimizer, and the actual tools inside the BigCommerce dashboard as well. Within Google Analytics, we use the e-commerce reporting function, goal reporting, conversion funnel reporting, and on-page analytics. And I'll show you some examples on our site briefly in a minute about how we've used those particular tools. Campile is another good feature that we use. It's an Israeli company that's doing quite well globally and here in Australia too, and they provide us with daily visitor feedback. Things like what our visitors are actually looking for. Are there any bugs that are present on our website? Is there any missing content or errors? So it's a tool that prompts visitors as they're leaving our site to, hey, if you've got a couple of minutes, or actually it's only if you've got about 20 seconds, can you just leave a bit of feedback on what you liked about our site, what you thought we can improve on? And that's the sort of data that helps us evolve our website as well. A/B testing, we use another tool called Visual Website Optimizer, and that's something that we saw on the BigCommerce. What is it, Troy? It's
the App Store.
The App Store. Sorry, the App Store was, which we look at quite frequently too for new and upcoming apps to trial out. And it's a very simple way of creating variations of different pages on your site without needing a technical person to actually do that for you. And so, we do a lot of outsourcing our technical work at Bicycles Online. And for James and I to be able to use this Visual Website Optimizer platform and do things ourselves is very cost efficient for us, and in terms of responding to things quickly, it gives us that ability as well. In-site search reporting from BigCommerce has also been very useful for us, where we can analyze search search terms that have been used in the in-site search feature of the BigCommerce platform, and see what are the popular searches that people are searching for that have no results or the wrong results, or in terms of just the way that the results are actually being fed to our visitors as well. So I wanted to move on here and give you some examples here on our actual website. So I've got in front of you on the screen here an example of how our homepage looked back in 2012. It's actually quite a clean site, and it works quite well for quite some time. It's quite simple in its design, but when we started using the Google Analytics on-page analytics tool, we started to notice, that there's a lot of call to action features on this particular page that weren't being utilized as much as we would have liked to. And comparing that also to some other things like the bounce rates, engagement on the site, it actually prompted us to go, let's have a look at doing some A/B testing and see if there's some variations that we can do here to improve our bounce rate, improve our engagement, and coupled with some information from the Campile tool I was talking about, where visitors were giving us feedback on what they were looking to see as well on the site. We made some changes, and I'll show you here. This is now our site, how it looks here at the moment.
Looks great.
we've done a few subtle changes. It doesn't look too much different to the 2012, but what it does do, it actually it gives an opportunity for customers to get in touch with us better than our previous version. So we had a lot of feedback that people were trying to find our phone number or send us emails or live chat. We've now put that sort of call to action at the center of the header of the actual homepage now, which carries out throughout the whole site. People can see our phone number. They can see by clicking on that icon as well. They can chat with us now through our live chat function that we've implemented. We've also looked at trying to humanize the site as well, trying to get away from it being a all sort of gay image style website to putting a face behind the brand and behind the business. So we've used pictures of the team here. We've got in the right hand corner, we've got James, my business partner there. There's a video there that we've created that talks about why buy from us. So you can click on that, it pops up, and that's really answered a lot of questions of initial visitors coming to our site and trying to understand, well, hey, why do these guys only sell one brand? Because as I said before, we sell one brand called Polygon. It's a global brand, but with a domain name like Bicycles Online, it does carry that. Well, hey, these guys should carry a whole bunch of brands. But having that video there available at the homepage has been a fantastic way of answering those questions. If we sort of move forward now, I want to show you a little bit about the product page as well and how that's changed over time. We've used A/B testing on our product page. This is our product page back in 2012. Look, it's got large images, and as you click on the images, they do come up, and they're very rich images. And you've got different angles of the product, just as Troy was saying with Bailey Nelson do on their site as well. The rest of the content on the page is quite basic and simple. We've just got some key features in there and a short product description with an overall brand video, which we had in 2012. With the idea of trying to improve conversion, improve engagement on the product pages, we did a couple of things to do that with some more A/B testing. Firstly, we looked at more video content. We create product videos now for all our products, and we've seen an increase of about 60% in conversion by adding product videos onto our particular site. So, and I was actually interested to hear Troy say the same thing about overall with other customers on the BigCommerce platform. It's been a fantastic addition to us on product pages. Again, it also builds that trust and credibility with that. Hey, we're based in Australia. We're not an Indian, Chinese sort of company trying to sell you things. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it gives that local feel of buying Australian, supporting Australian retailer, and an up close and personal view of the product itself. So we further go on to actually using video again to answer the question of why buy from Bicycles Online, and you can have a look at these sort of videos on our site when you have a look. But moving to the service and delivery side of our business, we've also been able to use video to better communicate our service to our visitors and customers. When you buy a bike, it can be quite a daunting exercise, particularly if you don't do it very regularly. It's like buying a car. Well, maybe once every 3 years you might buy a bike or longer. And particularly buying online, it's actually probably the best way to buy a bike is online, because you've got all this information in front of you. You can compare against other products online as well, as opposed to just going into a bike shop and being limited to the options in that particular store. The service side here, the service videos, is we show you, okay, we build the bikes completely before they come, checking everything's right to go, that they're safe and that they're a quality product. We also give you the final assembly instructions for when you receive the bike. So the bike's fully built, then it's partly unassembled, put in a box. The customer has to do a final assembly for themselves. But we really, by the use of video on that product page and communicating all the sort of potential danger questions that visitors are thinking about, it's really helped us alleviate those concerns and then improve conversion as well. So I think that's probably the two key examples I wanted to show you of the use of video, A/B testing through the visual website optimizer, the use of Google Analytics on-page analytics tool, and the conversion tool we use as well. But we've been very happy, and things are going well, and we look forward to working closely with PayPal and BigCommerce for years to come.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks, Emma.
I think you made a really interesting point about humanizing a website, and when you move from sort of the previous version of your homepage to the current version that had phone number, for your service teams, photograph of Jonathan, I think often you get feedback that it's that shopping online can be a bit impersonal, and as a business it is really important to share your personality through your website, tell people a bit about your business, why you established it, and I think to your point, Troy, earlier, that creates that engagement, and you suddenly feel like you want to be part of whatever it is, whatever site it is that you're shopping on. So I think that's really interesting that you guys have gone down that path, and I'm sure it's part of why it's such a success story.
Well, yeah, we'll see how we go. At the moment, we're going. It's been a really fun journey.
So what's next for Bicycles Online? What happens now?
Well, I think it's keeping it simple as well. It's looking at improving on that value proposition to our customers. Improving on our service, on the quality of our product, trying to improve on our supply channels too to get that value proposition more appealing to the Australian customers. But look, we will probably continue on the same path we're going, working more closely with BigCommerce, evolving our site, evolving our product offerings and range. But I'd like to sort of see ourselves getting towards a national brand in the next few years, and reaching a larger audience as more Australians get online and understand the benefits of buying online.
Fantastic. Great. So that brings us to the end of our webinar today. I'd like to thank Troy and Jonathan for coming along to share their first-hand knowledge and experience in developing fantastic websites.
Pleasure.
And of course Dan for his expert knowledge around how you can use PayPal to really, really improve your website. I've certainly learned a lot this afternoon, and I really hope that you have as well. So thank you for taking the time to join the webinar today. As I mentioned, we'll be responding to the questions that you've asked during the last hour on the Driving Business Online website, and you'll also receive a copy of the webinar with the presentation information via email. And it will also include the contact details for each of our speakers today as well, if you've got questions after today. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to join the webinar this afternoon. Be sure to check in on the Driving Business Online website, www.drivingbusinessonline.com.au, about our next webinar in the ongoing series. So thank you again and have a great afternoon.